insights on managing the crisis with the leadership styles. And I also take this opportunity to welcome our senior members, Ms. Poini Bhatt from SIGN, who has been instrumental in connecting ISBA with Mr. Ramkumar. And SIGN has organized a program during last pandemic version 1.0, and we had an opportunity to attend Mr. Ramkumar's session. And we found that a session should be reached to our community. And we have been asking Ms. Poini and Ganga to connect with Mr. Ramkumar to have the session, and they helped ISBA in reaching out, and that's how we are having this program. I also take this opportunity to welcome our immediate past president, Dr. Rajendra Jagdale, for joining this session, who has been instrumental in shaping this ISBA movement, this incubator community movement, as the secretary of the ISBA and as the president of ISBA, and bringing a shape to the organization. Welcome you, sir. And I also take this occasion to welcome all the incubator managers across the country. I'm happy to see that more than 50 plus incubation managers and the team members have joined this program. I welcome you all. And on behalf of the organizers, I also take this opportunity to welcome the team of Mr. Ramkumar, Aparna Swaminathan, for joining the session with us and helping this session to happen. With this welcome note, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Ron, who is the founder of Leadership Center, an organization dedicated to build world-class thought and practice in the domain of leadership consulting, research, and development. Mr. Ramkumar has retired as the executive director on the board of ICICI Bank. He was also on the boards of ICICI Prudential Life Insurance and ICICI Ventures. Prior to his retirement from ICICI Bank, he was the president of ICICI Foundation, ICICI Group CSR arm. He envisioned and established the ICICI Academy for Skills, which is an initiative under CSR arm of ICICI. And the Academy on last count is present in 23 locations and the skills around 35,000 youth in 15 skill areas. Before the assignment with ICICI, engagement with ICICI, Mr. Ramkumar has worked for Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Hindustan Unilever Limited, and ICA. And we had an innings of more than 15 years with ICICI Bank. He is also an author who has published his book on leveraging human capital, a practitioner's perspective. And this is a brief about Mr. Ramkumar. And on behalf of our community, we thank you, Mr. Ramkumar, for accepting our invitation and sparing your evening with us. We are very eagerly looking forward to your thoughts and to your session. Over to you, sir. So you have to unmute.
Thank you, Suresh. It's such an honor for me to have been invited to be part of a group of outstanding people. Why I say this not as a politeness, right? As I'm one of your community. Yeah, I am myself startup. My company Leadership Center is 5 years old. A small team of 9 people. We are trying to build a knowledge organization. So when I am going to speak to you, I speak to you as one of you. I don't speak to you as somebody who possesses anything extraordinarily different to all of you. And I also going to engage you as somebody who is going through exactly all the challenges each one of you are going through. So I'm not going to engage you from a perspective of somebody who is sitting in comfort or part of a very large organization or has a strong support structure backing me. So I don't have a soft bank behind me, nor do I have great PE investors lining up and waiting with packages of money to really bail us out, right? So it's such a proud moment, as I was telling Suresh when he called me. It's the same feeling I had when my school called me to really address the students some 25 years after I left my school. A lot of time when people ask me what is the most cherished and best moment of your life, the most cherished and best moment of my life was going to my school, Avicii High School at Virgambakam in Madras, and engaging class 10, class 9 students back to my school. I have the same feeling and sentiment of today, coming today to this forum. Right? I am part of my community. So I want to thank you for it. So I would spend about 40-45 minutes putting into place certain perspectives. Let me start, right? If I were to pretend or claim that I know something about leadership during a turbulent time, I would be a fraud. Because until this moment, in our living moment, for our generation, we haven't gone through any of this remotely equal to this. Yeah, we can say 2008 financial crisis, right? We can say the dot-com crisis of 2000, right? But I don't think we know anything remote. I think this generation of people who are living today, who are not in their mid-80s or 90s, have even experienced anything remotely like this. My father is 93. So he knew what it was during World War II. But that didn't touch India, and that didn't touch South India, that didn't touch Vellore and Tamil Nadu. Yeah, so he was not even part of Northeast. For him to have been part of understanding what it means to really take on a Japanese army, marching through Burma, right? And General Sim's British Army. So bottom line I want to put on the table is, I'm putting on perspective, not experiences, some experiences of how we are navigating this, but largely perspectives, right? Because nobody can claim at this moment that, I know the principles. Nobody knows it, right? If anybody says they know that they are, I don't want to use a very strong word, they are misleading us, okay? So let me start, right? As I was thinking about this session, what went through my mind was, what would it have been to be part of Europe in 1942, 43, 44, 45? France, Germany, Netherlands, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Spain. Though Spain was a neutral country during World War II. Just imagine. And then cut out and ask yourself a question. What would it have been to be part of Japan between 1944 and thereafter? So when I'm a bit of a, compulsive reader. I read a lot. So as I was going back through my old books, I have a large collection. So my wife thinks I'm a foolish fellow in Bombay to have a room for books. Actually, a lot of people, you don't put money to keep books in a room in Bombay, right? I have that kind of a passion for books actually. So as I was going through, if the period between 42 and 45 was terror, which bomb will fall where? Which business will go up in smoke? Which, for example, places like, by 1945, places like Ruhr, Dresden in Germany, the industrial belt of Germany was being firebombed. Morning to evening was being firebombed, carpet firebombing. Cities were in flames. So there was no healthcare. There's nobody to take care of anybody. Banks were bankrupt. Roads were all bombed out. Food was difficult. Potable drinking water You did not know where it came from. That's Europe. Now Japan, 44 and 45, when the Allies MacArthur had his upper hand, and after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, bombed to dirt. After Hiroshima and Nagasaki, what we don't talk about is how the Allies went about bombing Tokyo. They bombed Tokyo to smithereens. Every industrial city in Japan was bombed to smithereens. Nothing was standing. You know, why do I say this? If we had lived in that time, and let's say we survived it, what could be our outlook for future? Leave the outlook for future. What would have been our state every day standing in queues for one loaf of bread? To be brought back to and fighting in queues where people were grabbing loaves of bread out of their hand. It happened, huh? In France, in Germany. It took 3 months for the Allied forces to establish some order. Britain didn't go through all this. Britain was bombed out, but Britain was relatively in cocoon. America didn't go through any of this. There's not a single bomb other than at Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor is not even to be called as America. Yeah, it's like not even Andamans. It's far than Andamans being bombed. Now, how did humanity rise from that? We know humanity raised, right? Rose from that. And humanity did not take a century to rise from that. Humanity rose in 3 years, in 4 years. They rebuilt cities. You could say money flowed from America's Marshall Plan. Yeah, yes, I agree with it. But money doesn't build cities. Money doesn't build industries. Siemens doesn't come back because money came after it was bombed out. Volkswagen, Mercedes, bombed out. Nothing left. Dassault. Today we are buying Rafale from Dassault industry, right? Bombed out. Nothing left. They didn't even spare sports stadiums. Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona, stadiums bombed out. Nothing left. Rubble. You can't buy a brick. You can't buy a bag of cement. A corrugated steel sheet was not available. You wanted something during the winter on top. Plastic was not yet very big in those days, you'll remember, right? So LDP and HDP and all were not still there. The polymer science had not reached a point where it was still there. So people had to use the conventional tarpaulin. Not available. Rich people got tarpaulin, the rest got nothing. Yet humanity rose from that. And it did not take 20 years, 25 years, 30 years for humanity to rise. So if that was it, I want you to cut off. Korea went through 7 years of complete devastation. Happened now, mid-70s, mid-50s, 10 years after World War. Devastated. The North Korean forces went all the way down, and as they retreated, they blew up everything they can blow up out of anger. The Allied American forces returned the favor in North Korea. But by 1980, South Korea has risen. Now come back. The 70s, Vietnam, devastated by America first. Then the Chinese invade Vietnam. 1979. Devastation. Nothing left. Worse in places like Vietnam and South Korea. By then, mines were being laid. So in main city roads, you could not have walked without knowing your leg or your body will be blown out. So that cleared up cities of mines. South Korea and Vietnam. I'm not telling a story 100 years back. Vietnam rose. So why do I say this story? I am an eternal optimist. I don't know. No, 26 members of my family got COVID. My 93-year-old father and my 86-year-old mother survived. Touch wood. I and my wife survived. We lost one member of our family. I came out of COVID. 1 week later, I found steroids, dexamethasone, creates brittleness in bone. I didn't know it. My mother fell and had a femoral fracture. 86-year-old mother. Coming out of COVID 1 week after. 3 weeks later, I discover I have 2 spinal fractures, L4, L5. Why? Again, I didn't know steroids do it. I'm a fitness fanatic. While exercising, stress fracture. I had invested 30 crores of the hard-earned money through stock options which ICICI gave me. My wife permitted me to say, you don't have to put it into mutual fund and look morning, evening and night. Put it where your passion is. Yeah. So I put that money to build up a world-class learning facility. Jagdale साहब एक बार तो आप आना है उसको देखने के लिए, right? Kalapur पे, right? I put it up there. Shut. 15 months. No billing. I still have to pay electricity board the money. We decided we will not lay off a single person in our life because that is against our values. Every housekeeping person, every employee we retained did not cut wages. In addition to it, I decided, right, we will, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was my inspiration. During the Great Depression of 1930, I said we will run an extension for Kautilya so that we can give work for another 50 people. Because you don't have to give bakshis to people. We started a 3 crore project to do extension of Kautilya and employed people and paid salaries to them. After all this, we ended the year 31st March with a small profit. This is not a brag or a chest thumping. None of that I'm doing. I am only saying that we are all far more resourceful, resilient, and persevering than we believe we are. Don't drop your head. I'm not here to give a motivation speech. Every one of us who have survived, if you're dead, you're dead. There is nothing much we can do, right? Gone is gone. I went through a full month. I was teetering on getting into depression. Full month of anxiety pangs. In the month of January. I have no shame talking about it. I wake up in the morning, fearing paralysis because of my spinal fracture. No doctor telling you No physiotherapist telling you helps you. Your mind is jumbled. You tell your wife and your daughter, let me go and take MRI. Let me go and take an echo. Let me go and do it. Yet my company was being run by Aparna, who is sitting here. Muralidharan, who is not here in this meeting. These people ran my company when I was absent. I didn't even know I should run a company because I was no mood to run a company. For all the optimism I'm talking that month, I was lost to the world and to myself. And I didn't know whether I will come out of it at that point. Yet my company ran. Yet we ended the year with a small profit. Nothing to do with Ram Kumar. I'm talking about the spirit of humanity. That's the spirit. So when Ram Kumar is down, Aparna rises. Muralidharan rises. So the power of building organization is the power of the people you assemble in your team. There are no superhuman. One superhuman is running this country and is running it aground. I'm sorry I don't speak politics, but I'm burning. My body burns seeing my citizens. What's happening due to ineptitude? What's happening because the leader of this country doesn't trust other human beings? Yeah, don't immediately say Ram Kumar supports Rahul Gandhi. No, I don't. I don't have to be political here. I'm not being political. It's a leadership lesson. In times of turbulence, there are no superheroes who can do anything in the world. There never has been, and there never will be. It's a collective. Humanity, men and women, collect them around you. Find that 5 people. Find that 10 people. If you can. With whom you can trust your life with. Trust me, they will not let you down. They may not succeed. It doesn't matter whether I made a profit this year. Yeah, let's say I made loss this year. But I would not have been broken. In spite of my back being broken, my mind being almost broken, I almost lost myself. I couldn't think in that month. My pride was Ram Kumar, the thinking human being. But Ram Kumar couldn't think. Yet I came out of it. And today I'm handling a session with you. So I'm not talking theory. I'm not talking optimism. I'm not giving you some motivation spiel. Right? I'm talking about a small company where the promoter goes out of operation starting October, first COVID. I had a severe COVID. I had to be given steroids, remdesivir, everything. And for 5 months, the company runs on auto. No, it doesn't run on auto. That's an insult to my team. It is run by Aparna Nair, Muralidharan, Rafia Mukadam, Supriya Salvi, Susan Fernandez, and Chetan Surve. They decide what to invest, which customer to go to. No customer knew that Ram Kumar is not in shape. So we didn't beg. We didn't beg. Aparna found her special skills of business development. Till then, she did not think she had. We until then thought that the star, this 800-pound gorilla in the room, was this bloody Ram Kumar. People paid money to Ram Kumar and he was the big boy. The Sachin Tendulkar, Cristiano Ronaldo, who made money for Leadership Center. 5 full months Ram Kumar was a cost, did not make 1 rupee. Suddenly Leadership Center realized people were not paying money for Ram Kumar. They were paying for the money to the institution, and hence Aparna Nair session was as effective as Ramkumar's session. Muralidharan was as much a hero as Ramkumar. The biggest brands in this country gave business to Muralidharan and Aparna Nair. They did not require this fellow called Ramkumar. So every promoter who thinks he is bigger than the institution will destroy the company, especially when there is turbulence. In good time, you can take all the awards. Get onto the stage, taliyan tumhara hai, aapka hai, all the claps is yours, garland on your neck. But when difficult time comes, you will be alone. So the first big lesson I want to put on the table, whether you build products, whether you build technology, whether you build a franchise or not, spend time putting around you these 5-10 people who you can trust your life with. That is the singular core capability an institution has to build. And then trust them. You will be surprised how people rise, how people grow. Mr. Kamath, my father figure, my mentor. If he was not there, you would not have known about Ramkumar, right? We all stand on the shoulders of very tall people. That's why we look tall. Yeah. So Mr. Kamath would always, last week when he was speaking to me, he's very affectionate to me. He turned around and said, Ramkumar, profit is a state of mind. So if you have that state of mind, you'll get through turbulence, Ramkumar. I told him, sir, you could not be more clairvoyant than that. That's what has happened to us. So April last, Aparna will tell you, when we sat down, we were blank, totally shut. We are used to doing classroom sessions. Our entire content and pedagogy is shaped around having people in a room. We prided ourselves as people who created interactivity in a room with people through exercises which are group exercises. Okay? So here, March 22nd, Janata curfew, then lockdown. Even I couldn't go back to my own facility from Bombay to Kautalya if I wanted. Kuch nahi kar sakta hai. So and that was the year we ended with a turnover of roughly about 10 crores, our best year. And we are looking forward to say, big milestone, we have crossed 10 crore turnover. And April budget meeting. Ideas, blankness. 1 rupee business, very little come. 10 crore is over last year. Is saal kya aayega? And out of that, clearly 4 crores came from Kautilya, nothing will come. What do you do? That's when Aparna told me, Ram, we have to rethink on, the way we use Zoom today, we did not know how to use it in April, last April. Not everybody had Microsoft Teams. Not everybody was on Cisco WebEx. Leave alone big organizations. We were not. And I ran technology for ICICI. Yet I wasn't. Such is the brilliance of all of us. So then Aparna tells me, that should be a way, Ram. So instead of doing budget, we started thinking of a new business model. We said, budget ko goli maar. पैसा के बारे पीछे मत भागो. जो product तुम्हारा था, whatever product you had, whatever process you had, is not going to work. Sit and cry if you want to. But does the content of leadership change? No. What changes? Channel. What changes? Pedagogy. Are you good enough right now? I want to use a big word like innovation, all that big word and all. Do we know how to repurpose? So we sat down, and the next 1.5 months, our work was not budgeting. Our work was relearning all over again to do the work. Work did not go away. Our way of delivering it to the customer went away. So we had to rethink, how do we get this high quality content we have? We pride ourselves to be a proprietary knowledge company. We don't steal. We never violate IPR. We always say either we have the money to buy that or we will have to make it ourselves. Never steal. So we said that principle had held us very good because we had created a body of content. Now we said, how do we get this content to the people? The second one, will companies spend? Would companies believe that leadership can be, we can believe that leadership can be done on? So then we learned, we ran mock sessions. First Aparna and Supriya, these girls, and Diju Shali, I forgot her name. I should not miss any one of my team members. So they were trialing. Then one day they said, Ram, we have a control over it. So do you want to come in? So then I came in and started it. The first problem was looking at a screen and speaking. We did not know how to do it with passion. I hope my passion is coming through now. If nothing, even if I'm empty in content, minimum my intensity, my passion, my intent should reach. Earlier we used to say only in the classroom we can communicate and energize people with passion. Aparna used to tell me, Ram, how do we do it on the screen? I said, we'll learn. None of us knew any of these things. Did you know table 2 when you were born? Did you know the grammar of your own mother tongue? We all learned everything in life. So what makes you believe that you cannot learn anything new is what we asked ourselves. We said, karenge yaar. We will now find a way to use the virtual forum and make people believe they are actually sitting with you. Body, soul, and mind. They may be actually sitting anywhere, but you transport them to where in their minds, capture their minds. And you have a compelling content. And if you do this not for money, but you do it for passion, the passion has to go through whatever neural network or technology network can reach into the brains of the people. We train. Then we said, how do we create group exercises where people sitting in their 6 different houses, when they are doing that exercise, actually feel they are sitting around the table. So we framed these repurposing problems and started solving them one by one, one by one, one by one. And you will be surprised. You will find a way to solve it. It doesn't cost money. Often we end up thinking funding kahan se aayega. The reality is not funding. The reality is your thinking. And where does it come from? This passion, this feeling that I will learn, I want to know. That comes from ambition. Unambitious people, shut your businesses and go home. Yeah, don't be in business, don't be in startups, don't be in incubator. Ambition is not only for money. Yeah? Every time we say ambition, ambition means money. No, ambition is for a legacy for some people. For other people, ambition is for shaping other lives. There could be 1,000 ambitions you can have, but have one. That's your guiding light. Build a team, trust them. They won't let you down. 3, learn. Don't say, The only model I have and the only product I have, the only method I have, the only process I have is what I had, and I am incapable of finding a newer way. Then you are a one-trick pony. You deserve to die. Your business doesn't deserve to stand. It has to go. One-trick ponies have no value in the world. So fine, but don't fear, because it doesn't take Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr and Schrodinger to really do all this. We are, as human beings, you are gifted. You will have to switch that switch in your head. And you can't do it alone. You got to sit with your people. So perseverance. The new method does not reveal to yourself when you want. You got to fight your way through it. The mind has to burn when you go to sleep. The mind has to burn when you are eating your food. It has to burn. So we said tower building exercise. No, we cannot do it. What do we substitute it with for achieving your objective on helping people understand methodizing or whatever it is? Aparna, what? It took us 2 months to really bumble through. And then when we bumbled through it, then one morning, one of my colleagues, Murli, turned around and said, what is the difference, Ramkumar, between tower building and word building? Then we said, aha, what an idiot we were. We thought only we are teaching people thinking, yet we were using the physical object to teach thinking. There is an ability to do the same thinking using thought itself. So we discovered an exercise which is far better than this tower building. Even when physical classroom comes, we will never go back to tower building. Such a dumb thing we were doing till now. And we thought that we were brilliant. Because we had settled down to the comfort of doing the bloody tower building. And when the world disrupted us, we then said, yeah, thinking, why should people build towers? Lego blocks say. We are asking thought building, na? I can give you 1,000 examples like this. So I was speaking to Sanjeev Mohanty, an outstanding CEO of Levi's in India. Asked Sanjeev, what happened? Sanjeev said, we froze. Everybody freezes. Then we realized, guys, when you do Zoom and when you do Teams, you see people only above the torso. So who is going to buy Levi's jeans? So then he said, we realized we'll have to now repurpose all the stock of raw materials which you have invested in keeping it into shorts and tops. And find a way to capture the imagination of the customer to buy this material which has been repurposed as tops and shorts. And he said, we didn't lose a single rupee by burning the inventory. Otherwise, in fashion industry, you have to really put all that cloth there and burn. Nothing is left there. And you have to book your losses. Same way then, Aparna goes to one of our customers and tells the customer, would you give us one chance to do it virtually? And she picked a customer who she thought was more likely to do it. We were even prepared to do it pro bono. Right, Aparna? We said that we will not charge anything. But we want your senior team. Experiment karna hai. Toughest experiment. Let's not go with the kids. The people who would be unwilling to learn virtually. Bring them in. Lo and behold, right, we do the session and it becomes, people like it. Then our customer comes back and say, no, 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 we don't want you to do it pro bono, we'll pay you money. So to cut a very long story short, right? The spirit of Japan, the spirit of Europe is to say that until the last person is standing, humanity will again rise. So that is true for humanity. Until the last person is standing in your company will rise. Provided you have ambition. Why? Ambition is the fuel for tomorrow. Without ambition, there is no reason to wake up tomorrow morning. Why live one more day if you have nothing else to do worthwhile? But remember, none of this counts without ability. None of this will count without ability. So ambition, perseverance, resilience, none of it has any value if it is not backed by ability. As a gift to humanity, we are encoded in our DNA with the ability to learn. Ability to learn is the biggest ability nature has given to human beings. Ability to learn anything from absolute blankness. That's why we rose above in the animal kingdom, above everything. The animal kingdom adapts to the environment. But this animal, we adapt to the environment. And the people who did it were no different to you and me, huh? Nameless people in prehistory. One step at a time, chiseled the world around themselves and created the space which did not exist. Yes, human curiosity, my friend. So there are no people in the world, there is no one in the world who cannot learn. That ability is encoded in our DNA. Now there are people who don't use it. Lazy people. Mentally lazy. You know, after the spinal fracture, I have to give myself 2.5 hours every day of physiotherapy to get back. The fact that I'm sitting and doing this today, you know, I've sat around for about close to 55 minutes. Until a month back, I could not sit for beyond 10 minutes to 15 minutes without pain. Two and a half hours, I give it to my body to get my body back. But I had to go through the pain threshold, physical and mental. I had to go through self-doubts. Hoga ki nahi? Same thing. That is the cycle of learning. Cycle of learning is self-doubt. Am I good? Would I learn? Would I be able to do it? People. So that's why Adler, one of the greatest psychologists, said, to be a human is to feel inferior. But if we had stopped there, we will all smirk. Then he closes it by saying, in order to discover superiority. Brilliant, right? To be a human is to feel inferior. If I pause there, you would wonder, why is Ram Kumar saying it? Adler completes this. In order to discover superiority. So somebody who does not feel inadequacy, will never learn. He will be a Modi, Vishwaguru. Others have to learn from him. But anybody who says, I have a challenge, what worked for me yesterday seems not working or unlikely to work in the future. Now, if I found what worked for me yesterday from nowhere, I can find what will work for me tomorrow also. That is learning, not going to training programs. Curiosity, observation. There again, you go to people, asking people. Others are the people who provide you 1,000 eyes and 1,000 ears and 1,000 senses to learn. So human ability, human capability built through learning capability, which is the DNA which we all possess. So I don't want to complicate it. I'll stop here. So if you remember nothing out of all this, just remember two things. Want to wake up tomorrow? Fire up your ambition. Want your ambition to come alive? Invest in learning. Both of them do not come easy if you don't underpin it with resilience and with perseverance. Now, your questions, observations, comments, alternate perspectives, critiques, everything welcome.
Dear members, you can unmute yourself. You can ask the questions or you can post your questions in the chat box.
I am going to stand up because my back is stiff. Please bear with me.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Please go ahead.
Sir, this is Srilata, my name. There is Aparna again. That's my daughter's name. Sir, this session has come for me at the perfect time. I am going through that phase of just coming out of COVID and having all those cobwebs in my mind. So I feel it has come at the right time. Yes, I think this is an opportunity in itself, and I really need to look forward and not stop at this, definitely. So thank you so much for this most straight from the heart session, sir. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I genuinely believe, you and all of us in humanity, we will all rise above this, each in our way, in our domain. None of us can raise the world. We will all raise our own, those places where we belong to. So I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Arul from Mahalingam College of Engineering, Pollachi. Sir, I would like to know, because I'm talking out of despair, like how long are we going to be allowed to fight like this? Are we seeing any future that is going to coming back to normalcy at all?
அருள் ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம் தமிழ்ல பேசிடுறேன் உங்களோட. ஏன்னா இது அந்த தமிழ் பற்று ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தி, அதனால வெறியம் இல்ல, தமிழ் வெறியம் இல்ல. என்ன இருக்கட்டும். Okay. So I would want you to see my personal view. That's why I brought in the World War II. Just imagine living through 1939 to 1945 without knowing when the end will come.
Yeah.
Did anybody know 30th of April Hitler will commit suicide? Did anybody know 6th of August and 9th of August Hiroshima and Nagasaki will be bombed and Japan will sign a truce? And
No.
did anybody know after all that Europe and Japan will rise to be an industrial force, commercial force in the world? 15 years after that, Germany was a commercial force. 20 years after, Japan was giving money's run to America. So I am an eternal optimist. I really do not know, because I have no idea. I'm not a scientist. I don't think any scientist in the world knows. But we know that this virus is being beaten by the vaccine. We know that. Yes, the virus is playing the game. It is breaking through some strands and strains are breaking through. But I think, Aparna, I will forward an Atlantic article, if you can send it to Suresh, to be sent to other people. A well-researched article which says the world is very close to finding a single vaccine for all coronaviruses that exist and that may come. And that will cover every mutant. Not COVID only. MERS, SARS, and anything else can come. So what is very close? Maybe 2 years from now.
Okay.
And in a human generational context, that's no time frame we should feel worried about. So I am a big, I keep on saying, I am a born again optimist. Let me tell you again, I was 3 days after my birth, in 1961, I was discovered with bone tuberculosis. My father retired as a bank clerk, and then when he was young, he was still a bank clerk. Okay? In 1961, streptopenicillin was the only way by which tuberculosis can be dealt with, and nobody knew how to deal with bone tuberculosis those days. Here I am, 60 years later, standing before you, and my parents brought me up not as a sick child. 6 months after that, I was operated. I don't have 7 ribs here, they are cartilages here. I went on to play kabaddi for my state under 21 team. I ran 400 for my state. So when I talk about human spirit, I believe it. Nothing in the world can defeat the human spirit. Humanity and human spirit will rise. It is already risen. If in 12 months we have vaccine, which has never happened in 100 years of vaccination, from Jenner to today, no vaccine has come in 12 months. So, my view, we will get through this. I don't know when, but don't say we will get through it. We are already getting through it. Like today, Mr. Jagdale, when I heard him, I had goosebumps, sir. What you are doing is God's work. And if each of us become the agent of God's work, our life will be worth. And our incubators will automatically run. Our startups will run. So stay there, say, I am doing something. I'm alive today, so I'm going to do something today. So that is the way we have gone. Can you imagine medieval plagues we survived, right?
Yeah.
Until 1930, we did not know that the concept of virus didn't exist. We didn't know virus, as a microorganism. So we got through Spanish flu between 17 and 21. And the world rose. We will, even now. And I'm not giving any great motivational speech. I'm a man of science. I'm a non-believer. So what I speak is the only faith I have is the faith in the human spirit and the humanity. I don't have faith in great leaders. Somebody has put their hand up.
Sir, this is Kanchan Dwivedi here. Sir, I'm the founder of Loan Genie, which is a fintech based out of Bangalore. And sir, thank you so much for sharing your personal and very inspiring story with us. I just can't imagine what you've been through and how you gathered the courage. And I think it's given us, all of us, I guess, a lot of strength today that, yes, you can face challenges and yet come up, and stand tall like you today. So my question was, sir, as a leader, not only are you, handling yourself most of all, but you're also expected to lead a crowd of people. And these days, it is mostly through these remote work from home opportunities. So so I was wondering about what are the things that a leader should be focusing on to keep a cohesive team, and what are the things they should avoid doing or stop doing that they were doing earlier.
When things like this happen, we think we are doing it for the first time. But we forget, before us, people have already done many of these things.
Right.
So when the Great Depression was raging America, there is this remarkable leader, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. You should remember the story of Roosevelt. Right? Roosevelt, at the age of 38, while he was planning to run for American presidency, one fine morning, after he has had a swim with his children in a pool, has fever and chills, and the next he knows, 7 days later, both his legs are gone because of polio. Okay? Political ambition. And in those days, nobody said that differently abled people would be treated differently. If you are differently abled, you are seen as weak. So you had no place in politics. First of all, politics was for men, two for strong men, and not for sick people. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt rose from there. No calipers has been designed yet in the world then for polio patients. No Jonas Salk coming with vaccines.
No.
But it was anyway too late. Right? For him, he had already had polio on both his legs. Not one leg. The man teaches himself to stand and builds himself a caliper. Gets elected as an American president. And at what time? You will all say it's misfortune, right? He gets elected as an American president in the middle of a Great Depression. Nobody would want to be a leader in that Great Depression and say, "Ye to jaane do, uske baad main, when everything gets well, I will become a president." No, he comes in. No internet. No work from home. Soup lines. Bread lines. America at its knees. On its knees. And what does Franklin Delano Roosevelt do? To rally the Americans. So 1,000 straight days every day, he ran what was called a fireside chat. What is a fireside chat? वो तो मन की बात नहीं है. खुद के मन की बात किसी को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है. So he brought in 10 families from rural America every day to White House. And he got radio had come. He had got the radio set up in White House. So 10 American families would talk to the president about their difficulties. Every night, as 10 American families talk to the president, entire America tuned on and listened to it. At the end of the 10 families talking, Franklin Delano Roosevelt will summarize and say, these are the problems. And as the conversation over, across in the Lincoln room, he had his cabinet waiting. He would walk in and tell them, these are the 10 problems of the day.
Right.
Put a team, start working on it. The next day, so all that he told his countrymen were, I have empathy, I have compassion, I listen to you. I don't speak to you. So the worst thing a leader can do in a crisis is give speeches.
Yeah.
This is what films tell us, but it doesn't work. A worst thing a leader can do in a crisis is be bombastic, too self-assured. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Winston Churchill, two great leaders in the middle of great devastation, every day listened to people. And every day went about honestly trying to see which of this we can really, in what way, solve.
Right.
They don't solve everything. And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, in the first 10 minutes, reported to America what problems are they working on and what they cannot work with at this point of a time. In the last 10 minutes, summarize what people told. And the middle 40 minutes, listen to 10 American families.
Communication.
Empathy, compassion, not showing your Virat room. First of all, you don't have. Not being bombastic. Entire 1,000 days shut his PR machinery. He said it is insulting to an average citizen at this point of a time for the government to run public relations. I don't have to tell my people. So he asked the question, do parents tell their children how good they are? And why what they are doing should be appreciated by their children? Parents do it not expecting appreciation. That's their duty. So leaders, during turbulence and crisis and distress, stop making speeches. Start listening and start actioning, spending energy to solve problems.
Right.
And not spend time working the PR machinery.
Yes.
Frank, and if you have a lovely book called Leadership in Turbulent Times by Doris Kane Dorothy. Read it. It's about 4 American presidents. Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Lyndon Johnson, and Abraham Lincoln. Remarkable people, politicians, but who rose above being politicians and being statesmen and leaders of humanity.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation, sir.
Suresh, there is a question in the chat. Ram, can I just, yeah. So Ram, there's a question in the chat which says, sir, what is the role of research and creativity in the leadership training programs and also to solve the current COVID crisis? This is from Jay Chenna.
In my mind, let me put it this way. The way we frame research and the way we frame innovation has to be broadened in a crisis. So in a crisis, there are many, I have no monopoly on truth. Huh? I'm offering a perspective, and it could be erroneous, right? I'm not saying it defensively because I'm conscious, right? Problems that are yet unsolved, if we believe, have the key to solving some of the intransigent issues we are dealing with, can be dealt with only through discipline. It cannot be a spark of intuition in a moment of time which can relieve the pressure. Of course, in a petri dish, Alexander Fleming found penicillin quite accidentally. Of course, Edward Jenner found cowpox and went through with it. But that's not the truth, right? The truth is, before Alexander Fleming found penicillin, he has been chasing it in the petri dish for 10 years. So research brings discipline. Research brings perseverance. Research brings resilience. Because researchers don't, they go through every day's up and down. So in my mind, challenging problems of the world require disciplined way of dealing with it, and not impulsive or intuitive way of trying to solve it. To me, that is the role of research. I'm a man of science. I believe in science. There is an outstanding scholar by name J. Bronowski, mathematician, who made a BBC serial called The Ascent of Man. If you can see it, it's available on YouTube. A 14-part outstanding serial. And he also wrote a lovely book called Science and Human Values. 3 lectures of his. Please read it. So, in that he talks about how asking questions and how disbelieving the obvious and how not trapped in past glory, however fantastic it may be. And finally, how when you bring empathy, nature opens its door and shows you what it was hiding till now. And to me, that is research. Whether it is in science or whether it is in humanities.
Thank you so much. I hope that answers the question. So, there are over to you, Suresh.
Thank you, Ganga. And I'm happy to recognize the presence of the CEO of IKP Knowledge Park, Dr. Ms. Deepanita from IKP Knowledge Park, Hyderabad, and she is also the past president of ISBA. Welcome you, ma'am, and thank you for joining the session today. And I request ma'am to say.
Can I take a minute?
Yeah.
Suresh, hi Deepanita. Yes. What a lovely place to meet once again. She is a dear friend, right, from the ICICI stable. Lovely meeting you.
Thank you.
Such a small place, this world. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So, I joined a little late because I had some other meeting. But when I was hearing you, Ram, I had 2 small stories and 1 observation that I thought I'll share. And you would know the stories actually are, I've heard it from Mr. Vagul. So one is when you're talking of the World War II, he was once saying that when Pearl Harbor was bombed, there was a group, a lot of people were very angry in Japan. A lot of people were preparing for direct combat. But there were a group of 12 industrialists who were sitting completely in a closed door saying that, yes, we will be destroyed. Let us plan what has to be done later. So they said, we cannot worry about the war now because there are generals to fight the war. We are not generals. We have to plan for tomorrow. And so knowing what is our purpose in life, what is that we should be doing is very important. So that's a story that he had shared. The other thing, once actually somebody asked about feeling down and what should be done. I remember once, and you know this, like when Mr. Vagul comes, you pick him up from the airport and drive down. And since Knowledge Park is quite a distance, so I was discussing various things. And then I asked us, there was a problem, and he would never advise. This is something that I have to share with everyone. Mr. Narayanan Vagul was the chairman of ICICI Bank. And he was the one who actually conceptualized and formed ICICI, then ICICI Knowledge Park, now IKP Knowledge Park. So he would never give advice, so you have to ask questions, and he will say, during this time, he will tell stories. I did this, or he did that, or she did this. And you have to understand what you want to infer and what you want to do. So I was telling him, so there was a problem I was unable to solve. Then he listened to it. He said, Dipanita, this is, do what you can do well. Do that very well. Don't stop at doing well. Do it excellent. And don't worry about the problem that you are unable to solve. Maybe the time hasn't come. And a few months or weeks later, you will see the pattern and things will fall in place. You'll be able to then, if you waste your time thinking of it now, you'll actually miss out very important things that you would know how to do well. So that was a very eye-opening remark from him that I learned. We have to practice doing things very well. So it's a consistent practice. You can't, and if you are unable to solve, maybe there are just too many other things for which you are unable to solve. Just rest. It won't go out from your brain. It'll be there at the back of your mind, but let it rest. Solutions will emerge. These are the two stories, and Ram, you'll have some, and there'll be so many things on this. You know, one thing I wanted to tell you, when you were talking of ambition, and this is my own feeling, it's not, it's very personal. I somehow feel if we know our purpose of life, it's not the ambition. We get up because we know I have a purpose. I'm here to do something. There is a purpose. And we have to really search and search what is the purpose of life. And it is ultimately, and it may change. There is no problem if it changes. But if you know that this is what I'm here to do, you'll be able to do it so easily, so well. Because you're completely in it, you're enjoying it, you're performing. So I think I somehow feel everything is a performance. We are being in this life is a performance. So every little thing we do is actually talking, conversing. Even when I think I'm talking to myself. So it's a continuous performance. And in that, if we know why, then the whats and hows will come. So Ram, to you.
Dipan, with a very interesting point you made, right? Again, because you invoke Mr. Vagul, again, another father figure to all of us, right? Fortunate to be mentored by him. So the point you made about ambition and purpose, Mr. Vagul would always say to us, by saying, where your ambition is purposeful. You don't have to strive hard for perseverance and resilience, because the purpose makes it happen. You will, what else will you do? You will persevere.
Exactly.
What else will you do? You will be resilient. Will you give up? You will be resilient. However, if your ambition is not purposive, it is transactional.
Yeah.
You will move from one to the other without knowing what is fulfilling to you and others. So I recalled, because you invoked Mr. Vagul, I recalled this part. Equally, when you were talking about this, there is a lovely book again called The Making of the Bomb. It's about the atom bomb. In that, one of the most outstanding science book, all of you scientifically minded, is not a book of science only, but if you are scientifically minded, you'll love that book more than anything. It's not that there are derivations in it you need to worry about, right? But it's a lovely book. In that, Niels Bohr is presented as a human being and not somebody. We all would love to look at Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein as very different to us. So the point you made, which Ms. Vagul said, that pursue excellence, you'll reach it. So Niels Bohr says, every time he is unable to solve a problem, he always said that
the making of that one.
The making of the bomb. Right? Niels Bohr said, every time I am unable to solve a problem, I always said that I am being blinded right now to the solution because I am going down the wrong route. So he said that if I have the ability to solve this problem, that ability is where my excellence lies. So let me pursue it. Then I may find other people who may come in and give me those missing parts. So I don't have to find all the missing parts. I am only one more part to this puzzle, and there are other people who are having those parts, and however much I strive, those parts will not be with me. So I have to find those people who have the other parts. Then the puzzle will come together. And honestly, whether it is in science or whether it is in life, we'll have to let go of this business by saying, I am the promoter, I am the inventor, I am the leader, I know it. You go nowhere in life. You have a part of the puzzle. The rest of the part is in the hands of other people. Go find those people. To me, again, you inspired me to bring these two parts. Thank you very much, Deepanvita. And such a pleasure meeting you today again after so many years. My day is made.
Yeah. Thank you. That's, I think, the magic of Suresh and Poini and Isba. Very nice meeting you, Ram.
Mine too. Any other comments, questions, observations?
Yeah. So Ram, Suresh, can I just read out the question which is from the chat?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, if we have last 2 minutes. Okay, so it's very specific. Ram, I'm just reading it out. How to address below challenges, some of the challenges during the COVID the startups are facing. One is raising funds, business accuracy, operational efficiency. I mean, typically the entire the key business, aspects, how does one really handle it from a leadership perspective, perhaps?
How-to questions are very dangerous, huh?
Yeah, so...
Whenever you try to handle an how-to question, you feel like you're God. And it can seduce you to believe that you know the answers, which unfortunately, I don't ever succumb to. Right? I know what I know what I don't know, and I have no shame telling what I don't know, because I don't have answers for everything in life. That having said, I would answer this through the lens of what is the challenge? Right? The challenge when you run a business is always being able to capture the imagination of an investor. I sit on the board of advisory board of a private equity company. So I can tell you, whether it is COVID time or whether it is not COVID time, whether it is World War time or whether it is not World War time, capturing the imagination of an investor is the real challenge. And if you have something which is compelling and you have sat down and structured it well enough, the thought, I don't mean the business, and are able to articulate it to an investor. Today, I don't believe capital is the problem in the world. Swami, you can weigh in on it because you know much more than I know on this. Is there a problem of capital crunch in the world, Swami?
No, there is no. There's tons of it. Actually, the capital is chasing for ideas.
So this is a very paradoxical time we live in. Paradoxical time, there is no problem of capital. There is enough money sitting with investors who do not know where to put that money. So now the question is not that the world is starved of capital. India is not starved of capital. So do you have the imagination, discipline and the structure to be able to capture that capital is what I want to put on the table. Second, I don't think today the investors are looking at deploying capital through the algorithm they were using in the past. So actually today, when I sit on investment committees of this particular PE, we are actually looking at it through the lens of what I said earlier. Is this a one-trick pony who is coming and asking for money? Or is this run by a set of people or one great person? Is this an institution which can supply to us, the investor, some evidence that they have the ability to learn and adapt and not get caught with what they know and want to really work it only? So that is my experience. Swami, if I am wrong, Deepanvita and Mr. Jagdale, you all know it better than me. You can weigh in on this if I, in a way, I'm oversimplifying it.
Ram, I think you hit the nail on the head. And I'm sure a lot of people on this panel, in this group, know it because they live that day in and day out. And they are illustrious people. But having said that, absolutely. In fact, what they are looking for is ideas, and whether they're investing in an institution which will sustain beyond that promoter's lifetime, is the way they look at it actually.
We do for private equity company organizational capability studies.
Better to oversimplify things.
Yeah, Swami. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Yeah, I'm done. No, fine.
Yeah.
I'm done. Go, please
so
go ahead.
We as an organization do organizational capability study and advise private equity companies on whether their money has to be invested or not. The two big things we see, Aparna runs that part of the business with Murli, right? Two big things we see, right? Beyond the promoter, how many people are there? Two, are they people who are stuck with an idea, or do they have an ability to operationalize an idea? So we don't ask the question, how much money they have made already. We look at capability and then we recommend investment to the investment committee. So idea to operational capability, promoter to a ecosystem of people who can carry the company forward rather than the single great person company. You will see the theme repeatedly comes back to where I started. Yeah.
Thank
Ganga,
you
you
so
said there
much.
was one more.
Yeah, I think we're done, Ram, with the questions
Thank
which
you.
came pertinently. Thank you so much.
Ganga and Suresh,
Yes.
you can share my number to
Okay.
all your people. It will be my honor to be on the other side of the phone. If one of them were to call me, you can share my email ID, right? None of this is commercial. I don't say this because I want to build my business and all, right? Life has been kind to me, much beyond what I've ever expected in my life. So, to any one of you, if you believe calling me and speaking to me will give you some clarity, it will be my honor to be on the other side of the phone. And I will reply every mail. I take every phone call. If I don't take a phone call, you know, I am in a session. Right? If I don't call by the end of the day, you will get a call from me by Saturday. So that is really what I want to tell you all. Wishing you all the very best. Believe humanity will rise and you are part of the humanity. No reason why you will not rise. You will also rise. Of course, you will have challenges. Of course, you are going to go through your low moments like I went through in January. I am no special person. If I can come out of it, and if my company can come out of it, and if we can look forward to the next year with order book in April, much better than an order book we found in the last April, you all will be able to do, where there is nothing very special about Leadership Center and Ramkumar. Thank you very much, Suresh. Thank you very much, Moini.
Kind gesture to our community and startup community. Really, we enjoyed your session and keeps us going. Thank you very much. And I now request the CEO of the TVA at NIT Calicut, Ms. Preeti. I invite Preeti to give you.
Suresh, just 1 minute. I have another friend here, Soundri. Right. Hi. My apologies. Right. For missing you. Right. Lovely connecting with you back. So fantastic. Sorry. I should have. Because, see, I'm a mad guy. When I become very passionate when I do things, and my mind becomes very focused. My apologies.
Not at all. Thank you so much. Lovely seeing you and hearing you again.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, all. Of course, indeed, it was a much needed session of the art. Thank you very much, sir, for filling us with a lot of confidence, which is much needed during these difficult times. And importance of developing a strong team, passion for what we do, ambitions which can solve most of our problems are your key points for the key points of the day, which you pointed or you pinned in your session. Thank you very much once again for giving us such a wonderful talk. So as he said, let us be passionate and make our ambition strong enough and find the purpose of our life for us to wake up tomorrow with more enthusiasm to fight against the difficulties. And thank you very much to all the participants, especially to our senior incubation managers, Jagdali sir, Deepanvita ma'am, Poini ma'am, and all other fellow incubation managers for your time spending with us. And finally, thank you, Suresh and Dasba team for organizing such a wonderful session. And we expect much more in future. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you, everyone. Ram, Roman, Unmute. You have to unmute, Ram.
I have to say thank you very much to you for giving me this honor to be part of this wonderful group.
You need to unmute.
I did unmute. Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Usually
you are, Ram.
My first boss told me I don't require a telephone. Right. STD calls were a waste with Ramkumar, and Mr. Bambal always used to say that I swallowed a mic when I was a young boy. Yeah, jokes apart. Thank you, Suresh, for opportunity. Thank you very much. Thanks, Poini.
Thank you, everyone.
Do I have your permission to leave?
Thanks, all of you. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you, Swami.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Chana.